Well, it was the 4th of July, and a husband went to the mall to go shopping, and he noticed a frazzled young woman pushing one of those strollers, you know, that holds 2 children. And so she's pushing that stroller, and then there's a 3-year-old that's walking along beside her, holding onto her dress. And the man's being happy and saying hello to everybody. And so to this young woman, he says, "Happy 4th." And she says, "God forbid." So today we celebrate the 4th of July. We celebrate Independence Day. It's a celebration of the day that 13 brave men representing the 13 original colonies declared their independence from the British rule. Just as the colonies threw off the repression of the British rule, we too can declare our inner dependence or independence, hopefully not inner dependence. That would totally change my message if that was the case. And our freedom from the tyranny of error thoughts and beliefs that sometimes can hold us back and keep us from experiencing the fullness of our spiritual selves. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, in his book Revealing Word, wrote, "The quality or state of being without thought or restraint, without bondage, without limitation or repression, having a sense of complete well-being. It is the result of regulating one's life according to principle and living in that principle, in that truth, and in that place of freedom." There's an old story that demonstrates that elephants can be trained to be chained. And in the same way, we human beings can be trained to be chained. The elephant's trainer would put a chain around a young elephant's foot, and that chain is then attached to a stake, and the elephant, depending on the size of the rope, can only walk around a small circumference around that stake. And there comes a day when the trainer releases the chain from the elephant's foot, and an elephant would still only walk around that circular space, chained, as if he was still chained to the stake. Well, in my research, and after a few comments that I got from other people telling a bit of the story last week, I looked it up and realized that this story is probably an allegory, which means that it's a story that has truth for us, but it probably isn't actually true. You know, we can be chained to our old beliefs. Perhaps we believe that somebody hurt us or betrayed us in the past, and so we can carry that, we can be chained to that belief for the rest of our lives, and therefore not want to reach out and love fully. So how many of us still believe you may be chained to old stakes or old beliefs? I think that we all are, because it's kind of human nature. And this is what we're going to talk about today, is how we can recognize the beliefs that we have that are restraining us, and how can we break free of them to experience freedom. So there's a number of thoughts that I've been able to identify in creating this talk that I believe that we all have, and perhaps I'll run through 6 of them, and perhaps you might see that you have some of these thoughts, and if you do, then you probably have some error beliefs behind those thoughts. The first one is, I can't be my real self or I will be judged. The second one is, I don't want to get close to people in case my heart gets broken. The third one is, I don't want to ask for what I want because I might get rejected. And the next one is, I can't trust people because I've been betrayed before. And the fifth one is, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough or young enough to be successful. I would say old enough, but that doesn't apply to many of us. And the last one is, it's better to blend in than to stand out. And I have to say, in my lifetime, I think I've experienced all of these, all 6 of these statements. And it seems like that's part of the consciousness building that we're all doing, really, is to get past these limited beliefs so we can experience the fullness of who we are. So we can experience that Christ self. Probably the one that I've worked with the most recently is, I don't want to ask for what I want because I might get rejected. I've said this in the past, and in the past I've preferred to deal with the pain of not getting what I want as opposed to the pain of being rejected. Both scenarios cause pain. I believe that my healing began when I decided that I was tired of feeling this pain. Tired of feeling the pain caused by my wounds. And I decided to face my pain and explore the erroneous beliefs that I held on to so that I could be free of them. Not an easy thing to do, is it? But I know that when we're on this journey, this spiritual journey that we're on, it's really about changing our thinking so we can change our lives. Kind of the basic premise of science of mind. Change your thinking, change your life, and a principle that we embody and embrace in unity as well. When I was in elementary school, primary school, I found out that my best friend was saying things that weren't true about me behind my back. Well, I might have been smelly, I don't know, but I thought it was kind of funny. Here's my best friend, and sweet as sweet peas when we're together, and then I found out that he's saying stuff behind me behind my back. As a 12-year-old adolescent who had a poor self-image, which I agree I did have, this incident left me feeling worse and worse about myself. And later, as I reflect on it, it revealed a chain that I would be chained to much of my life. You know, like most people, I've been rejected from jobs I applied for. Anybody else? I've been rejected when I asked somebody on a date. Well, they sure wish they could see me now. I've been rejected when I asked for a raise. I've been rejected when I expressed my opinion or my preference about something. And every time I was rejected, I felt hurt. True for you too. You know, I had a revelation a few years ago, and I realized that it was normal to feel pain from rejection. And that pain will pass just like any other painful situation or feeling, or sensation or feeling. I also realized that rejection can be reframed to be an opportunity to improve my tactics and my approaches. You know, being rejected is simply something saying, hey, that didn't work, try something else. And I realized too that whatever I wanted may not have been a good fit for the circumstances at the time. You know, I grew up taking things personally. Another something that I've been able to work on in my life. You know, however, the pain of rejection is real. Anybody ever feel that pain? So when we look at the pain, we can discover what it is below that pain that is the error belief that is causing that pain. Pain is really there to say, hey, wake up. I love what Rumi said. He said the wound is the place where the light goes in. Wow. So often we like to run from our pain instead of running towards it and saying, what do you have to show me? What's the message here? So I've got some ideas of some things that we can do to break free from the chains that bind us. And the first one is just this. And that is to realize that enlightenment comes through our wounds. Nobody ever said this was going to be an easy journey, right? And as we're on this spiritual path, we realize this path is so much about discovering what it is that I can know, how can I change my beliefs so that I experience the fullness of my life. I realized that it's normal to feel pain. Everybody feels it. And beneath that pain, there's an awakening that desires to happen through us. And the reason that we have that pain is because something wants to be revealed. Rumi said, you wander from room to room, looking for the diamond necklace that is already around your neck. So we can try and look everywhere else to discover what it is that we can know to advance our consciousness on this spiritual journey. And that which we desire, so much of the time, is right here in front of us. When I've been rejected in the past, I often look to blame the person or persons who have rejected me. Right? Anybody else? We want to make them the bad guy, right? Instead of looking at myself and going, okay, what is it that I can learn from this? We want to make the other person bad. It's kind of a human condition or a reaction of our ego to try and be right and to make everybody else wrong. Freedom is an inside job. I claim my freedom today. Affirm this with me. Freedom is an inside job. I claim my freedom today. So the next thing we can do to break these chains is to identify the error beliefs that we are chained to. 3 of the most common beliefs, and maybe you can relate to them, are that I'm unworthy, that I'm incapable, and that I'm unlovable. Anybody ever have those thoughts? And those, I think, from what I've been able to understand, are the 3 major error beliefs that we as human beings hold about ourselves. There's a great story about a woman who had stomach cancer, and she only had a few months to live. And she was asked, is there anything in your life that you can't stomach? And she paused and she thought. And then she said, well, a year ago, my daughter was stopped at a stoplight. And she was caught in the crossfire between 2 gangs. And she was shot and she was killed. The man whose bullet killed her is now serving time on death row. The woman said, I don't think I can ever forgive this man. The woman said that her daughter came to her in a dream. And in that dream, she said to her mother, she said, Mother, you are in this prison cell with this man. And the daughter asked the mother, Mother, I have forgiven you. I have forgiven this man. Can you forgive him? The woman was asked, are you willing to forgive? And she said the most powerful words in her next sentence that changed her life. And she said, yes, I'm willing to forgive. So she began the process of forgiveness. She called the mother of the man who was sitting on death row. They had both lost their children. They began to correspond, and then the 2 families met on a Thanksgiving day for Thanksgiving dinner. And after some time, the woman went to the prison where the man was, and she visited him. And the story that I read said that they are still communicating. And there's more to the story. The daughter's mother has been in remission from cancer for a number of years. The cure of the stomach cancer, however, isn't the biggest story. The biggest story is the healing that happened with her and this young man and their families. You know, when we are hurt, we rarely recover unless we forgive. So I realized that I could forgive all of the people who hurt me. I could forgive my friend Tom, who said I was stinky. And for months, I made it a part of my daily meditation and prayer practice to go through and to forgive everyone that I believe had rejected me and hurt me. I forgave the people who didn't hire me. I forgave the boss that didn't give me a raise. I forgave the employer who let me go. I forgave the people who rejected my opinions. I even forgave the girl who wouldn't kiss me in the humanities class. That was probably the hardest one. Yeah, right. As I forgave each one, I felt a huge relief. I felt like weights were being lifted above me. And isn't it so interesting that we resist forgiveness for some reason? As if we think holding those people who hurt us in prison frees us. But as we know, when we're holding somebody else in freedom, we are in bondage. We too are in bondage. Maya Angelou said, "Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it." Yeah. Don't we often get mad at ourselves and kick ourselves because, gosh, why didn't I know that? Why didn't I do something about that? You know, we all do the best job we can. So we can forgive ourselves for not knowing what we didn't know. So the third thing that we can do is to forgive ourselves and to forgive others. So who can we forgive? Who can you forgive today? Can you forgive yourself for even having had error thoughts and beliefs in the past? Are you willing to release that? To be free of error beliefs. Freedom is an inside job. I claim my freedom now. There's a great story about Paul Purcell. He was a licensed clinical neuropsychologist and a professor at the University of Hawaii, and much, much more. And he also wrote the book Miracle on Maui. And he said, "I have never felt so free as I felt when I was dying." Anybody know his story? Heard of him before? He had bone cancer. He was a great author and a great speaker. He talked about freedom and that we have the ability to choose our experiences. We have our ability to tell our stories, and the way we tell our stories explains a lot about who we are. And oftentimes, we don't even tell our stories correctly, which I think is really bizarre. We make them up. Anyway, he did a lot of research on people that had miracles in their life. And he looked at how people thought about life and what were their attitudes about life. And he wrote, "Be reverent in your freedom to choose a miraculous point of view." Oh, I love that. How many of us look at our lives and ask, why is this happening to me? Anybody ever said that? What if we had a miraculous point of view? What if we had a miraculous point of view about our lives? What if we had a miraculous point of view about the world? What if we had a miraculous point of view about what's happening here in Hawaii? What if we had a miraculous point of view about what's happening in politics? You know, we have the ability to transform ourselves and our lives, the way that we experience and the way that we perceive what's happening in our lives and in the world. When we know that everything in the world and in our lives is perfect and in divine order, we have a miraculous point of view. Paul used to call it soul sight. And that it's like if we could look at the world through our soul, through the pureness of our Christ consciousness, and see it from that place, to see from a place of wholeness and love, instead of from a place of fear and doubt and judgment. And he said, when you look at the world with soul sight, you have a miraculous point of view. So the fourth thing that we can do to break free of the chains that bind us is to have a miraculous point of view. And our affirmation for today is a miraculous point of view. Let's say it together. Freedom is an inside job. I claim my freedom today. And the fifth thing we can do that's also a miraculous point of view is to let go and let God. To release our attachment to specific outcomes. To heed the guidance of Spirit. And to discern when to act and when to yield. To do what is ours to do. And to release the rest. Can you feel the freedom in that? It's not about not doing anything, but it's about listening to Spirit and coming from our hearts and doing what we can do in every situation, and then to release the rest. Freedom is an inside job. I claim my freedom today. I found this poem. It's attributed to Rumi. And I did quite a bit of research trying to figure out if it was absolutely true. I'm not sure it is, because it sure sounds a lot like a childhood prayer that a bunch of us said. But I love the idea of it. It says, now I lay me down to stay awake. Pray the Lord my soul to take into wakefulness, so that I can get this one bit of wisdom clear. Grace came to forgive and forgive again. So today is July 4th. Happy Independence Day. May the spirit of freedom dwell within you. And as such, spread its amazing freedom energy out into the world. May you be free to be a perfect expression of Christ's mind that you are. May you be a perfect expression of God in everything you do, everything you say, everything you feel, and all that you are. Freedom is an inside job. I claim my freedom today. I invite you to close your eyes. Breathing in and breathing out. And take that journey from your mind into your heart. And shut the doors to error thinking. And just breathe into this moment. And maybe even to imagine that you are shutting the door to the things that stop you from being all that you are. That you release the chains and the ropes that have chained you to limited ideas and limited beliefs. May you step into the freedom of your fullest expression of who you are. To be the light of the world. To be a representation of freedom to everyone you meet. Imagine how it would feel when someone walks away from you after being in your company. And what they notice is how free they feel. Perhaps because you beheld that freedom in them. Because you were free yourself. To be in the Christ mind is to be free. To love. To be present. To speak the truth. To be compassionate. To not choose to be in conflict, but to choose to live in love, in peace. What will you do today? What will you think? How will you be? To be this example of freedom. Just to try it on today, on Independence Day. Knowing that the presence of God is the truth of who you are. The presence of love is who you are. The presence of peace is who you are. So let's take just a moment or two to join together in the silence. Breathing in and breathing out, and gently bringing your awareness back to this moment. To embrace your freedom. And then to open your eyes whenever you're ready. So at this time, I invite you to prepare your love offerings. And as you do so, to do that from a sense of gratitude and from a sense of independence. Maybe embracing the new independence that you get to experience today and in your life. And reflect on what is it? How are you going to be free? how are you going to contribute through the freedom of other people to be an example of freedom in your life and in the world? And maybe there's something you can release today. Without not being, can you remember the three things that we talked about? The three main error beliefs that we have were unworthy, unloved, and incapable. Those are the things we're not, right? So if we were to turn those around, we would say we're lovable, we are worthy, and we are capable. There'll be a test next week, so I anticipate that you'll practice this week on your own. All right, so as you're holding your gifts and holding this gratitude in your heart, let's affirm and pray together our prayer of affirmation of gratitude by saying together, through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And thank you, Emily, for all you do, and Coco and Kathleen, Kailani, Al, our wonderful hula dancers today. Thank you all for coming together and making this time together so special and so free. Today's flowers are offered by Emily Goss in loving remembrance of her brother, David Goss, who died and passed on June 24th. And so we hold him in our hearts today. Let's see. I wanted to, we do broadcast our Sunday services on Facebook Live, and we record them, and they go up on YouTube also. And Emily and I are going to be gone 2 weeks, the last Sunday this month, which is the 25th of July and the 1st of August. And so we would like to continue offering our services on Facebook Live. And as it is right now, we don't have someone to do that. Marlene, could you do that? Oh, great. There you go. Taken care of just like that. We are. Woo! I love it when we're manifesting. Facebook. With your phone or your iPad or something, right? Yeah. Great. Thank you. Oh, we can breathe a sigh of relief. Because we have a pretty good following on Facebook Live. It looks like 25 to 50 people, sometimes 100 people end up watching our video over the course of a week. So we want to keep them happy, don't we? So my talk next week is titled Abracadabra. You know, stage musicians often use chants as part of their acts. They will often use so-called magic words like abracadabra or hocus pocus or presto changeo. And most people just think that abracadabra is another word like that it's just gibberish. However, abracadabra is a true magic word. Abracadabra is thought to have its origin in the Aramaic language. It's a combination of abra, which means I have created, and cadabra, meaning through my speech. So abracadabra means, therefore, I have created through my speech. So next Sunday, we'll talk about abracadabra. And we will learn how we can create magic with our words. And you can join us right here, 10 o'clock next Sunday. And you can sign up ahead of time. There's a sign-up sheet, I think, outside. And it'd be great if you do that. And if you are watching us on Facebook or on YouTube Live, you can call Emily at 808-268-8310. Can we get that to broadcast along the bottom of your feed? That'd be really super. We'd look so high tech, wouldn't we? And so we are still holding our services to a maximum of 25 people, masked and social distance. And I have a big announcement to make. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been running our campaign, I don't know, for months, I guess, maybe 6 months. I'm not sure, for our, to get, oh, there's a flyer for the last thing I talked about. So I want to let you know that we have, maybe not right at this moment, but I know it's coming. Someone made a commitment to give us $3,000. So we made our $10,000 goal. Woo! Woohoo! I am so happy about that. So you can, ladies and gentlemen, you can find more services just like this on Facebook Live at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. And we're also posting our streams, as I said earlier, on YouTube. And you can find that's kind of what they look like. And so please check them out. You can have a Unity fix in the middle of your week. So I think that's it. So before I do anything else, why don't we stand and pray together the prayer for protection, which begins. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. God bless you, friends. Aloha and mahalo. Where I live, there are rain.